Social media has become one of the most influential forces in modern life. Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and Snapchat allow us to connect with friends, share our thoughts, and even discover opportunities across the globe. At first glance, social media seems like an empowering tool, one that makes the world smaller and communication faster. It has transformed the way we learn, interact, and entertain ourselves. However, beneath the surface, social media has a darker side, one that significantly impacts mental health, often in ways that are subtle yet profound. From anxiety and depression to loneliness, sleep disruption, and social anxiety. The psychological consequences of heavy social media use are becoming increasingly clear, especially among teenagers and young adults who make up the largest portion of users. One of the most prominent issues with social media is the culture of comparison it encourages. As we scroll through our feeds, we are constantly exposed to curated snapshots of other people's lives, vacations, parties, achievements, romantic relationships, and even daily routines carefully filtered to look perfect. Psychologists refer to this as social comparison, where individuals measure their own worth against the perceived success of others. This comparison often leads to feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, and dissatisfaction. Studies have shown that teenagers who spend more than 3 hours per day on social media are more likely to report poor body image, with young girls particularly affected by idealized images of beauty. Even adults are not immune. Seeing friends or colleagues succeed professionally or socially can create a subtle sense of personal failure. Over time, this constant comparison chips away at confidence and can trigger anxiety, depression, and even social withdrawal. Another concerning aspect is the addictive nature of social media platforms. Social media companies use sophisticated algorithms designed to maximize user engagement. Every like, comment, share, or notification triggers the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reinforcement. This creates a cycle of reinforcement that can become highly addictive. Users find themselves checking their phones compulsively, often without conscious awareness. Research from the University of Chicago found that the average person checks their phone over 100 times per day, and many of these checks are purely habit-driven. Over time, this compulsive behavior can interfere with work, studies, and real-world relationships. Some psychologists even compare excessive social media use to behavioral addictions, similar in impact to gambling because it hijacks the brain's reward pathways. Cyberbullying is another dark consequence of social media. Unlike traditional bullying, online harassment can occur 24 hours a day, reaching victims in their homes, schools, and even places of work. Hurtful messages, humiliating posts, or spreading rumors online can escalate quickly due to the viral nature of content. Research by the Cyberbullying Research Center indicates that about 37% of young people between the ages of 12 and 17 have experienced online harassment at least once, with significant negative effects on mental health. Victims of cyberbullying are more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. The anonymity of social media makes it easier for perpetrators to engage in harmful behavior without fear of immediate consequences, creating a toxic online environment that can be psychologically devastating for vulnerable users. Ironically, social media can also contribute to loneliness. While it promises connection, online interactions often lack depth. A large study conducted at the University of Pennsylvania found that participants who limited social media use to 30 minutes per day reported significantly lower levels of loneliness and depression after just 3 weeks. This indicates that while we may have hundreds of online friends or followers, these connections are often superficial and cannot replace meaningful face-to-face interactions. For many hours spent scrolling through feeds replaces real-world engagement with family, friends, and community, leaving an emotional void that fosters feelings of isolation and emptiness. Sleep disruption is another critical issue linked to social media use. Many users, especially teenagers and young adults, scroll through their feeds late at night, exposing themselves to the blue light emitted by screens. Blue light interferes with melatonin production, a hormone essential for regulating sleep cycles. This not only reduces sleep quality, but also affects mood, concentration, and cognitive performance. Research published in the Journal of Youth Studies found that teenagers who used their phones before bed were more likely to experience insomnia and reported higher levels of stress and irritability the following day. Over time, poor sleep amplifies the risk of anxiety, depression, and emotional instability, creating a vicious cycle in which social media use leads to poor sleep, which in turn worsens mental health. A related phenomenon is FOMO, or the fear of missing out. FOMO is triggered when users see others enjoying experiences, achieving goals, or attending events that they themselves are not part of. Social media constantly exposes users to highlights of other people's lives, which can create feelings of exclusion and dissatisfaction. This fear can drive people to check their feeds compulsively, seeking reassurance or validation, and contributes to anxiety and restlessness. Studies have shown that higher levels of FOMO are associated with lower life satisfaction, increased social anxiety, and heightened stress levels, particularly among adolescents and young adults. Doomscrolling, the habit of endlessly consuming negative news online, further compounds these problems. Social media platforms are designed to keep users engaged, often by showing emotionally charged content, which may include alarming news, political debates, or graphic images. Continuous exposure to such content can create a sense of helplessness and anxiety, a phenomenon sometimes referred to as emotional contagion, where the negative emotions of others influence your own. This constant intake of distressing information can reduce resilience, foster pessimism, and even contribute to depression. The impact of social media extends to cognitive processes as well. Constant notifications and multitasking on these platforms can lead to reduced attention spans and difficulty focusing. Research suggests that heavy social media use may be linked to decreased academic performance and lower productivity. The brain becomes conditioned to rapid stimulation, making sustained, deep focus on tasks more challenging. Over time, this can interfere with learning, creativity, and problem-solving abilities, further affecting mental well-being. So, how can we protect our mental health while still engaging with social media? Awareness is the first step, recognizing that these platforms are intentionally designed to capture and hold attention allows users to take control. Setting boundaries, such as limiting daily screen time, disabling notifications, avoiding phones before bed, and unfollowing accounts that trigger negative emotions, can significantly improve mental well-being. Replacing passive scrolling with real-world activities such as exercise, meditation, hobbies, or spending quality time with loved ones creates balance. Mindful usage of social media, focusing on learning, creativity, and genuine connection rather than comparison, helps mitigate its psychological risks. In conclusion, social media is a double-edged sword. While it offers unprecedented opportunities for connection, creativity, and information sharing, excessive use can have profound negative effects on mental health. It fosters comparison, addiction, cyberbullying, loneliness, sleep disruption, FOMO, doomscrolling, and attention issues, contributing to higher levels of anxiety, depression, and emotional instability. By understanding these risks, being mindful of usage, and prioritizing real-life interactions, we can enjoy the benefits of social media without sacrificing our psychological well-being. Ultimately, our mental health is not measured by likes, followers, or online recognition, but by our ability to cultivate meaningful relationships, emotional resilience, and inner peace. Recognizing the dark side of social media is the first step toward reclaiming control and fostering a healthier relationship with the digital world.